Welcome to Ask HR, the podcast dedicated to being your trusted resource, answering your HR questions while covering broader topics in people and culture with expert insights and practical solutions. I'm your host, Yusin Pitoya. Join me each week as we answer your HR questions with real-world strategies to help you navigate the day-to-day. Ask HR is proudly sponsored by YP Personnel Management and Consulting, a strategic, tactical, and practical HR solutions consulting firm. We are your resources at work. Let's get started. This week's question is around the good versus the bad HR practices, aka other HR. You know the difference. One empowers your team and protects your business. The other, well, it costs you big time. I am not perfect, but I consider myself on team good HR. In this episode, we'll talk through some of the consequences of poor HR planning and share some actionable tips to help you to get your HR house in order. And no business is too small or too big. Here's what we're talking about: the bad HR practices that affects morale, high turnover, and employee disengagement. So, what does that depend on? It all depends on who's in the HR seat representing your people and culture. Is HR at the round table to both lead and support your values, maintain the fairness, and advocate for the employees? What about allyship? Again, HR may not have all the answers, but we are here to guide the solutions and bridge the gaps. And so our effectiveness do depend on the company culture, the policies, and back to the person representing HR. Moving on. Here's what the real cause of some inconsistent and bad HR practices looks like. Delayed or unresponsive HR support. Well, what does that mean? It means you are very slow to respond or that HR is very absent, which breeds frustration and diminishes the employee morale. And what about the lack of feedback? Without ongoing feedback, employees become disengaged and they are very uncertain about their growth. And another cost is poor conflict resolution. Ignoring workplace issues will create a toxic environment and fosters resentment. The inconsistent policy enforcement, treating employees differently under the same policies, erodes frustration. Overworking without recognition. Who likes that? Really expecting too much without acknowledgement leads to burnout. What about unstructured hiring processes? Without a clear hiring strategy, you are risking poor job fit. Again, a high turnover, because hiring and promoting an unqualified individual could mean losing your best employees. And let's be honest for a moment. I've shared it before that HR is not always sunshine and smooth processes. As intense or even insane as the work gets, I still love HR for many reasons, but primarily for the real impact it has on people's lives and livelihoods. Before we dive in, this episode of Ask HR is brought to you by YP Personnel Management and Consulting, referred to as YPPMC. We are your resources at work. And with a collective of 20 years of experience, amongst our consultants, my team and I at YPPMC delivers strategy to simplify HR. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a small business, and growing companies, because I strongly believe when HR works, businesses thrive. So, if you've ever wondered if HR really makes a difference, the truth is yes, yes, and yes. And I've shared that HR just isn't about the compliance. It's about planning and decision-making that drives the bottom line, which means When HR implements effective employee programs, it will directly impact productivity, and that will reduce costly mistake and increase the overall output. It's that, or it's the bad practices you will get into by ignoring employee feedback. When employees feel unheard, they check out. Better yet, they walk out. And that gives you low morale, high absenteeism, and your top talent is lost. Okay, let's look at it this way. Bad HR equals turnover. Good HR equals stability and engagement in a better workplace. This is why investing in HR do matter. And no matter how many people you lead, every business at every stage needs strong HR. So treat HR as a core function and not just paperwork. Include them at the table. Allow the collaborative leadership training, the mentorship, the upskilling, support it, which will only build a culture of continuous development, which will equal the return on investment. While you are at it, let's leverage legal services, right? And to my solopreneurs, my entrepreneurs who cannot yet afford an HR professional position, start with some cost-effective compliance program to focus on the foundational elements like writing policies and basic training, leveraging the low-cost tools of an HRIS, one module at a time. Start with time cards or payroll, and then you add on and on and on. And before we wrapped up our episode, thank you to our sponsor, YP Personnel Management and Consulting. YPPMC goes beyond traditional HR consulting by offering a comprehensive suite of HR shared services in compliance, HR technology, learning and development, and many more. These services collectively support your HR operations. Need tailored HR solutions? Visit yppmc.com and book your free consultation today. We are your resources at work. So let's recap. Bad HR costs you financially, legally, and culturally. And we're talking about the variety of practices that affects morale, the compliance fines, high turnover, like onboarding and compliance. They're not optional. They're business critical. Strategic HR planning is your best defense and your smartest investment. Don't have the do-it-yourself HR strategy. Talk to your experts, even if it's just to get clarity. If the people within your professional or personal circle can't help, definitely call me. Remember, be a badass HR professional, because the alternative just doesn't cost in dollars. It affects the culture of your business, your team, and the families of all of our employees involved. In the words of Jay Shetty, focus on progress instead of perfection. So employers, invest in good HR today and watch your business thrive. HR professionals, bad HR isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a liability. It starts with us being in the room so that we are raising the right questions, that we're initiating and leading impactful conversations, and we're also guiding the collaborative leadership. Now think about one HR improvement that may have changed in your workplace for the better. We'd love to hear from you. And that wraps up this week's Ask HR. Thank you for tuning in. Share this episode and support our show by subscribing, following, and engaging with us. Listen now on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. We appreciate your questions, so continue to send your HR questions to askhr@yppmc.com.